Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of Lunch with Lisa. I'm Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, a book that I wrote after I healed myself from cancer naturally without using the medical model. So when I found myself facing cancer, it was absolutely crystal clear to me that my struggles with money were at the root of my physical issue. I had been struggling my entire life with money, trying to earn a living, trying to get ahead, trying to get out of debt, trying to make ends meet. And I really thought that I was alone in that struggle for the majority of my life. I thought, I looked around and I thought, gosh, all these other people, they've all got it together with money. Why can't I get it together with money? And I was living under a constant stress over money. And then as things went along, I started to realize that there was a direct link between my stresses over money and my health. That became completely obvious to me. So I realized that if I wasn't struggling over money, if life was just easy and I didn't have any of those worries, my health would be fine. That was obvious to me. And when I ended up healing myself during my journey, I realized that this is all kind of the same thing. We are each creating our own reality. So I thought, if I cure this cancer thing, right, then obviously it's going to be just as easy to cure my money thing. Turned out that it was way easier to heal my body than it was to heal my finances. Who knew, right? But what I realized along the way is that the majority of humanity is struggling with money. And it's really kind of been set up that way. It's been set up for our failure. We live in a debt-based system. Everything is on trading our energy for money, and that money that we work so hard to make so that we can make ends meet. It ends up that the majority of the money never even stays with us. It goes to all kinds of other people. And when we look at the pyramid of how society is set up, these folks at the top of the pyramid, all the money that is made down here is siphoned right up to the top. It doesn't really do a whole lot for our health. Have you noticed that you're struggling with money? And is your health suffering? So I asked the question, is there a direct connection between your money and your health? And if so, how do we change that? And, because you may have heard the term like a fractal universe, everything is fractals. Well, what happens for each of us personally also gets reflected in the collective reality of society. So because the majority of us are personally struggling with money in one way or another, or have been struggling with money in one way or another, that struggle is amplified through the collective. And let's just look at the connection between money and health in the collective. Look at what a huge industry the medical system is. Billions, trillions of dollars are made by the medical industry. So all that money that we make, we go to pay insurance for health insurance so that we can make sure that we can go and buy the wares of the medical model as well. So look at the direct link between money and health. Look at all the advertising on TV that goes into selling their wares, pills and shots and protocols. There's a direct link between money and health. And there's a direct link between lack of money and lack of health. You know, when we start to look at how all of these systems are set up, they're really set up for our failure. The monetary system is not set up for our advantage. It's designed to keep us in debt and credit and lack and limitation. Just as the healthcare system is designed to keep us in disease. Because a healthy cured patient is a patient lost. So what do we do about this? Well, right now, if you are listening to this, it means that you are one of the light workers on this planet. We came to this planet to change the systems. We came here to change the game. We came here to turn this game around so that instead of us being at a constant disadvantage, it's time for us to start taking advantage of all of the tools and resources that we actually do have. Our connection to source is our direct resource. It is our connection to source. Source is our source of abundance. It's not the false matrix. Your source of abundance is not your job. It's not the thing that you do for money. Your self-expression is your source of abundance. And when we start to look at money from a different perspective, when we start to take all of those charges out of money, when we stop looking at it as something that is used to control us, something that we become a slave to, and we turn it around and we start using money to our advantage, when we start to turn money into a sacred economy, we bring money back into alignment with source. Everything that comes from source is sacred, including money. But all of the sacredness has been taken out of money, just as all of the sacredness has been taken out of our bodies. Our bodies aren't treated as divine, sacred intelligences unto themselves. Our bodies are treated like pieces of meat that can just be cut into and shot up and filled with pills. That's not treating our bodies as sacred. So turning all of this around, we are the light workers. We're the ones who are here to turn this game around. And we start by noticing the sacredness of ourselves. We start by reclaiming our connection to source. And we start treating our bodies as sacred, as intelligent, self-healing organisms. Our bodies know exactly what to do to heal themselves. And when we start looking at what is it that's actually throwing me off balance, and it's never the body. There's always something else. Something else has triggered our bodies into being off balance. And very often it is the struggle with money. We hate our job, we're behind on our rent, we don't have enough money to buy a house, like whatever the struggles are, we all face the same struggles. When we start all working together, we can change this. When we start to realize that we are all one. If the entire world economy collapsed, if all the governments went away and all the banks closed, which isn't really a far-fetched idea when you see what's actually going on in the external world, what would really change? Well, we would be forced to rely on our neighbors and our friends. We would all survive. We would all learn to start working together. The farmer down the road, the seamstress down the road, all of the people that have skills and talents that are useful, that are marketable, we can all start helping each other. It's time to turn the economy around and move it from a debt-based, credit-based system of inflated numbers and worthless pieces of paper, to turn it around and make it sacred, so that money becomes a gift that we give to ourselves, that we give to each other, and we take all the charge out of it. What if money was just easy? What if we stopped struggling with it? And what if by having ease, we could start having better health? There are all kinds of ways that we can do this. All we have to do is look for them. They're already in place. Systems are already in place. Sacred economy, sacred gifting circles are already in place and are already working beautifully on this planet. This is how I learned about sacred economy, as I joined a sacred gifting circle. And it's so much more than just money. It has nothing, it has very little to do with money. The main focus is not money, but the byproduct is money just becomes sacred again. It becomes a gift. And people start healing because they start working together. We start supporting each other. We have a safe and sacred space in which to express ourselves. This year, you're going to see a lot of changes in the structures of society. You're going to see a lot of changes in the banking system and in the systems of government. Why? Because this is the Great Awakening. This is the shift of consciousness. This is where we change the game. So those old structures have to go away, because we can't take them where we're going. We can't take the 3D fallen matrix structures into 5D and beyond. They're not a match. They can't be in there, at least the same way they are now. So this is the year we're going to start to really see a lot of changes, and it will be easy for us to go into fear and worry and doubt and panic. There's no need. There's no need for any of that. We're here to dissipate that as the light workers. It's up to us to start clearing out all of these energies of fear and doubt and worry. We're here on the front lines transmuting these energies. And as we transmute those energies, all of the other structures just organically change themselves. Our bodies heal themselves, our finances heal themselves. We find like-minded community to be around. This is where we're heading. So is this what you're experiencing? And if not, why not? When we find like-minded communities and we start making ourselves and our own sacredness a priority, we start returning sacred to every aspect of our lives. Our bodies become sacred. Our well-being becomes sacred. Our finances become sacred to us. And then we make sure that we start creating from that aspect of ourselves. And everything starts to change. So, is money one of your main stressors? Look at that and start asking, what can you do to change this? You don't have to know the answer, but if you sit quietly in your body, breathing, connecting to the earth, and asking some really good quality questions, you'll get some really good quality answers. Because when my stresses with money turned into cancer in my body, I sat quietly and I started to ask, what do I need to know to change this? And I got very present with my body, in my body. And suddenly, all of the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the physical body, they all started to align. And new layers of information became obvious. The answers started to drop right into my awareness. And this is what's available to all of us. And this is the year that we're going to need to start really calling on our ability to source from our higher consciousness, to start bringing in higher dimensional answers for ourselves. And as we start to bring in higher dimensional answers, we start living a higher dimensional life, and everything becomes sacred. This is where the healing comes from. When we start to source the answers from within, we get quiet, we go within, we open up that mental space, allowing the mind to quiet, so it becomes a clear and open channel for divine source intelligence to simply flow in. When that happens, everything changes. So if you're having trouble with finances and your health, take a look at where is that coming from. We live in an abundant universe. All the answers are within. If you would like more information about the gifting circles, please ask. I'm more than happy to point you in that direction. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Asking good quality questions, recognizing your role on this planet at this time. We're here not only to change our own lives, we're here to change the game for all of humanity. We're here to heal the planet, to heal ourselves, to heal society. But it all has to start within. It has to start with ourselves first. Make yourself a priority. And everything else comes into alignment. All right, thank you so much for joining me for another Lunch with Lisa. Hope this was helpful. If you'd like more information, you can find me at connectingyoutoyou.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Lunch with Lisa. I'm Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. Thanks for joining me. Until next week, create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.